everybody. I'm Hillary Atkin from the Atkin Report, and I am so excited to welcome Julian Higgins, writer, producer, and director of the new IFC feature film God's Country, to this edition of Hillary's Happy Hour. Julian, how are you doing?
Very good. Thank you so much for having me, Hillary.
You're welcome. This is an incredibly powerful film centered on a college professor played by Thandiwe Newton, who gets involved in an explosively violent, long-running conflict. So tell us about how you got involved in it and came to co-write, produce, and direct this film.
Well, the film is based on a short story called Winter Light by James Lee Burke, who may be familiar to the audience. He's written many thriller mystery novels over his career. And, it was a story that spoke to me really immediately. It's a very simple framework of a story. It's a kind of a classic Western setup. You have a homesteader played by Thandiwe. You have two hunters trespassing on her property that she sort of confronts. And, it escalates and things get out of control. It really is trying to be like sort of a modern Western thriller that talks about a lot of the, major issues that we're talking about as a country right now.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about the emotional journey of her character, Sandra Guidry, and the challenges she faces in the backcountry of Montana.
Yeah, I mean, she, as you said, she's not originally from that area, but, as a college professor, you kind of have to go where the teaching position is that you're offered. And so she is a classic fish out of water in this very sort of, rural and very white environment, and frankly, as the sheriff character says in the movie, people do things a little differently out here. They handle stuff between themselves. And that is very difficult for her as, one of the only people of color in the area, and, and a woman as well. And so, there's a lot of subtext in the story that creates tension and, I hope curiosity about where the story is going to go.
Well, what do you think the film says about these hot button issues of race, class, gender, and the role of law enforcement in a community like that?
That's a really interesting question, because that's not exactly how we thought of it. What we were trying to do was dramatize the dynamics that we were observing. When I say we, it's my writing partner, Shay Obana, and I. And, and what we want to do, we don't really want to tell you what to think. Like, we actually trust you as an audience to think about and contemplate these ideas yourself. What we want to do is challenge you to think about them in slightly different ways than maybe you have before. And the story does that. We don't need to preach to you about, what your politics should be. We think the characters do things that, make sense in the context that we're all living in. And, it's really for you to think. And I, as a movie viewer, as a movie lover, I love when movies treat me like I'm smart and, allow me to contemplate the questions that they're raising. I don't think my answer to these questions is going to be that interesting for you. I want you to think. So that's what we were doing. And I hope it's done in a way that's entertaining and compelling and emotional for you, because I think that's the best way to get people thinking.
Well, it was an interesting milieu, the backcountry of Montana, and a lot of it was, snow-covered, really rugged terrain. So tell us a little bit about what the production itself was like.
As you can imagine, it was very cold, very windy. Everything took longer. And we are shooting in some very remote and incredibly gorgeous locations, it's really a movie that is designed to be seen on the big screen. If you've never been to Montana, we're going to bring you as close as you can get without going. It's a big outdoor movie, and that's where we made it. We all had to bulk up in our winter coats and put on our winter hats. But honestly, it was really fun to kind of go out in the middle of nowhere and make a movie together.
Well, I want to congratulate you, Julian, and wrap up our happy hour by raising a toast to you and the success of God's Country opening on September 16th.
Thank you. I wish I had some champagne, but I've got my water here. Thank
Cheers
you so much,
Julian.
Really
Pleasure.
Appreciate it. Cheers.